Hey, how's everybody doing? Time for another episode of Tales from the Stash. Got some coffee here, don't mind me. Anyway, so I was digging through my shelf. Actually, this landed in my shelf by accident. This is the first time I've seen this kit in a long, long time. I'll show you what it is. I'll just show you the instructions. We'll leave it at that. It's right here. Testors Italeri B2 Stealth Bomber, 172nd scale. I have no idea how this ended up on my shelf or in the house. I never bought it. The last time I built this was when I was 15 years old. That's a long time ago, and I'm 41 now, so that's anywhere from 91, 92, 93 time frame. That gives you an idea. I haven't touched it since that. I haven't touched that, but I haven't touched the kit since. Give you a brief history on the B2, and then I'll explain my experience, and then I'll run through the parts. So, B2 was actually part of that wave of fourth generation fighters. Like, I shouldn't say fourth, I think fifth. Like the stealth program. Like you had the F-117, which was built by Lockheed, which did the unstable diamond in their design, and then Northrop, which did the whole blended fuselage thingy. Two different types of stealth. But the design of the flying wing actually goes back to World War II by Northrop, and it took a long time for the idea finally became reality, and it was a really, really cool concept at the time when it first came out. And it was unveiled for the first time, I think, in 1989, 1990. Unlike the F-117, which we did not know about until about 1989, which was during Panama, Operation Just Cause. The B-2 was actually originally intended to replace the B-52. Of course, B-1 was supposed to replace the B-52. The XB-70 was supposed to replace the B-52, and so on. B-52 is still flying, and it's in the 50s. From the 50s. Figure that one out. And the original plan was to build up to 100 B-2 stealth bombers, but because of its cost and the end of the Cold War, it got reduced to 21 actually. One crashed. The production run got reduced significantly, but it proved to be a fantastic weapon. It made its debut in Kosovo, dropped a lot of bombs with more precision guidance instead of doing the usual carpet bombing, which is more of a B-52 thing. It's also made bombing runs in Afghanistan, Iraq, during Libya, so on and so forth. There's a lot more to the B-2 despite its stealthy design and to its radar absorbent material. There's actually like gadgets here and there and like little systems that they're still top secret and that help it be more stealthy. And it's going to be operating until 2032, until the new bomber comes out, which is also going to be built by Northrop. Or it's going to supplement the B-2 for the time being. Otherwise, that's it. There's only one B-2 airbase. That's in Missouri. And the problem with stealth technology is it requires special conditions to maintain it, like climate-controlled hangars. It's not like Cold War fighters from the 60s, 70s, 80s, where you just let it sit out in the sun, or you can let it sit in rain, or you just the only time you really bring it into the hangar is for maintenance, or just lock it up for the night. It requires certain maintenance and stuff, but the capabilities it has makes up for it. And it's like I said, it's a pretty impressive aircraft. So, let's get on with the kit here, and we'll start discussing it. Now, the last time I built the B-2 kit was in my teens, and at that time I was still just building at the time, just anything I could get my hands on. And really wasn't learning everything yet. I was just starting to get the hang of everything. Well, this was one of the first kits that I ever got my hands on, thanks to my uncle. And I learned a lot of harsh lessons from this kit. Very harsh lessons. Matter of fact, I still got some scars here and there on my hands from the X-Acto knife in regards to this kit. It was a real difficult challenge, and it was not that big. It wasn't that detailed, but it was difficult, and it was a pain in the ass to put together at that time. But to be fair, I was also rushing through it at that point. Paints, you're really not going to need much for paints. I can tell you right off the bat. So let's get a look at this. Now, granted, this is not like the new Model Collect 1/72 scale B2 Stealth Bomber kit, but you got to remember, this kit was molded at the time where you only had so much information, a lot of speculation, and a lot of... But the Italeri did get the basic shapes right. You can tell this is part of the wings. These are the upper wings. This isn't so much long, it's wide. And I think you're going to need a shelf. You're going to need a bigger shelf, or you can hang this up if you want. We'll find out. Of course, being a kit for the time from Italeri, 1991, panel lines are raised, as you can see here. And those are the upper wings. Here's the, or lower wings, I don't remember which. Here's the other half of the wings right here. These are just that's it for the fuselage wise. The outer wings and the inner wings, clear parts. Here is the middle fuselage. This is the upper half here. In-flight refueling. This is for the engine exhausts. That's for the intakes. And you see the windscreen goes here. This is what I mean by it's not so much long, it's just wide. Like I said, this was mostly based on the basic shapes. Looks like they got the basic shapes right. Once again, national security plays a role, and which is important, which you gotta respect. I'm sorry, but people complain, but there's only so much you can know. I mean, it'd be nice, but you gotta respect that. Here's the bottom half. When this was molded, this was before the B2 achieved operational status, so it's got the bomb bays. It's only got one bomb bay open, and it's also but it does have the landing gear, which really isn't much in there. If you want, you can always do research online. You can scratch build the bomb bays, you can scratch build the landing, well, the interior of the main gear. But otherwise, I'm probably going to end up building it in flight, given the opportunity. Okay, here is the last of the parts. Not all the parts are in here, as you can see. Matter of fact, some are still scattered about in the bag. Because when I got this kit, I didn't buy it. I don't know who got it. Matter of fact, it was found in my in-laws' house at the time. They asked, "Phil, did you buy this?" No. I actually said that. I was like, no, where the hell did that come from? And what is it doing here? Here's the rest of the parts. There really isn't much to the B2. I think that's for the nose gear, of course. Main gear, bomb bay doors. This is for the intakes. Yes, intakes, landing gear doors. Here's all the wheels. This is for the part of the cockpit. Really isn't that much in the cockpit, so I wouldn't worry about the details or detailing it. I mean, it is 1/72 scale after all. There are parts in here. Some of the parts are still scattered about. I really can't find them, so if I can't use them all, I may have to do some scratch building or some aftermarket stuff. I'll find out for sure. Otherwise, that's the extent of the kit. The plastic's actually good quality. Good quality. It's your typical thing. It's going to require some work, of course. You know, being that it is stealthy. I mean, not stealthy. Being that it is it's an older kit. Don't worry about if you know, they tell you, now the colors, the paint. The plastic, as I stumble over my words today, the plastic's actually molded in the color that it's painted in. To tell you the truth, it's supposed to eliminate, painting. I'm going to be honest, if I can recall correctly with this kit, from my experiences, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to fill. You're going to have to sand. Of course, you're going to obliterate the raised panel lines. But to be honest, it's stealth. Don't worry about it. You can sand them all off, or you can leave faint traces. Leave faint traces so you draw them on at least with a pencil or a pen if you want. Because let's be honest, it's stealth. Stealth doesn't have much in terms of surface detail. It really doesn't, because of the radar absorbent material coating in the paint job. It's a simple kit to build. I mean, I've seen this I've seen this scratch, like the Bombay scratch built. Matter of fact, the parts from this kit, short-range attack missiles, which are really not needed because it carries conventional bombs. It now carries JDAMs and conventional bombs and the like, so you don't need short-range attack missiles. You don't need nuclear weapons. If you want, you could try. Matter of fact, this was actually worked on before I got my hands on it. This kind of gives you an idea. It's weird. Give me a few minutes here, but it's a decent kit. Granted, it's not accurate. It's still speculative, but you got to keep in mind, at that time when it was molded and it was released, there was only so much information on the B2 at that time, and it's been almost about well over 25 years since a new B2 model kit came out, and I think that's the only two you're ever going to see. So we're not gonna. But with Testors Italeri kits, I remember when they were being distributed. Well, the Italeri kits used to be distributed by Testors at the time. Here's the clear parts, by the way. This is the windscreen. A couple clear parts for the lights. I'm keeping this in a package. Everything's still in good shape for being 25, for molds that look like they're 25 years old. I mean, if I remember correctly, it's going to be a challenge molding these in. Gluing that in. Here's the decals, by the way. Now, I mentioned where was I, about the Testors. Even though the kits were, Italeri kits were so-so, some of them were good, some of them were bad. It's hit or miss with Italeri. They still offered some pretty unique subjects. And the B2 kit was no different. Here's the decals, by the way. Scale Master was a thing. They mostly worked with Testors. This is for the first rollout, the rollout of the first B2, by the way. This is I think it was the testing prototype. This is for the canopy, the cockpit. Everything else is basic stenciling. If I remember correctly with Scale Master, they can be really difficult to apply. Expect silverings, which means you're going to need a nice shiny gloss coat. Get out a sharp X-Acto knife to pop any bubbles. Make sure you have some solid, strong setting solution. Otherwise, they're generally good. They're printed. They're well printed. They're actually opaque, so I wouldn't have to worry about them too much. Just take your time when you're putting these on. Especially after all the filling and sanding, you're going to have to do it to blend the wing together. But the good thing about Testors is, despite having the shameless promotion, but to be fair, it's Testors, they can do that. The instructions. Everything in the instructions for here is in English, and they're really, really good. I wish more model companies would do this more often. Well, at that time, they were the best instructions available. I mean, the kits were okay. Gives you the history, gives you painting, gives you before starting, gives you tips and hints, and talks about preparation. The instructions are clear as day. It gives you the parts layout, as you can tell here. Give you a better look. Not only does it give you the illustration, it guides you step by step. You don't see instructions like this very often. And Testors was well known for it, even with their old Hawk kits. Gives you the colors, it gives you the colors and everything. Of course, they tell you to use Testors brand paints, but if you don't have Testors, you can always cross-reference. It makes life a lot easier. In this case with the B2, it's pretty basic. There's really nothing to it. There's really nothing fancy at all. This is it. This is the extent of it right here. It's an overall gunship gray and black. Well, at least if you're doing the rollout plane. And the landing gear is white. This is the extent of it. There really isn't much to it. Let's see, where can I find it? There we are. That's supposed to be the layout for the one bomb bag. I'm not going to do that. I'm probably going to close everything up and go stealth. I shouldn't say stealth, just let it fly as is. I might hang it up, see what happens. But otherwise, this is the extent of it. This is it. It's a basic kit, very basic. But also the instructions, back to them, they also give you the option of gluing the gear doors in flight. If I can find it, yes, there it is. Gives you the option of doing that, or you can put the landing gear down to avoid painting altogether. I might do that. So that's if I ever start building it. This is the first time I've seen this kit in a long, long time. And it kind of, it was, now my experience with the kit, it was an okay kit. It actually went together well, had some troubles. But it was more of trying to rush through it, and I got a lot of injuries from it. Because of the X-Acto knife, the paint, you name it, I've dealt with it. I actually got burned by the water applying the decals. It was a rough experience, but it was mostly because of me and my ham-handedness. Now, when this kit was available, you had the basic box set. Then they put out a special edition where it included paints, glue, and all the tools necessary. Matter of fact, there's a drop cloth from it. Sometimes you can actually get this in Testors paint sets and stuff. And it was a nice little starter set. You know, it just covered the basic paints: silver, gray, black, white, a little bit of red. That's it. It was just basic. And it's a simple kit, but it's not. I would not get this for your kids if they were starting out. It's a little difficult. It's going to require a lot of work, a lot of gluing, and a lot of patience, especially in the filling and sanding. I wouldn't worry about the raised detail. Sand it off. You're not going to need it. It's stealth. You're not going to need it. And I think the reason why I haven't touched another stealth kit like the B2 or even the F-117 for that matter is because it's just not appealing to me. And you look at someone who likes dealing with tactical paint schemes from Cold War of the 80s. To be honest, it really isn't much to stealth. It's just paint. You really can't dirty it up. I mean, you can do weird effects, but some of them require more than just simple wash and flat coat. Some of it requires a metallic look to it. And it's just not that appealing to me. It really isn't. And I've only built on my 4 kits of stealth-related kits on my hand, which was the F-22, YF-23, F-117, and B-2. But I might build it again, just for the nostalgic feeling. But it's really, really interesting. So we'll see what happens from there. I might get to it. However, despite being an old kit, I would say if you end up finding one, give it a shot. What's the worst that's going to happen? You end up getting really involved in it, or you junk it. Personally, I'm not junking this one, thanks to many years of experience building. I'm actually going to try to build it right. Keyword, try. We know that ain't going to happen. But it's worth a shot. So this is all I got for now. Happy modeling, take it easy, and hopefully this thing won't haunt me anymore. Or any other old kits from my past haunt me again. So have fun, guys.